We are now here in a situation where we have a PC which is green here, which is the client 801, and we want to remove that client from our domain that is defined here within those two domain controllers. 81 is the main domain controller. For that, I'm going to switch to the virtual machine, which is 81, the domain controller. And we are going first to check what we really have on that domain controller regarding the client. First of all, we are going to have a look at the DNS. In the DNS, as you can see here in the zone, we have client 8 that is present. Another point where it's also present, it's within the DHCP. So we are going to look at the DHCP, and you see that among the active leases, we have here our client. When I open Active Directory users and computers, I can find there client 8, which is defined within the computer's containers. So our actions, they should remove from all those different places client 8. So we are now going to proceed and to see how to do that. For this, I'm going to switch to client 8. Client 8 is here, so I need first to log in. We are also going here to see that client 1, and for this I need to show you how I went to that part. And here you see the icon of the PC, my computer. Right click, properties, and it directly opens me this window. This window is interesting because it is the place where I can go and do the changes. So those changes, I will go into change parameters, and by the way, you can see that client 8 is really part of the domain. It is telling you here that it is part of the domain. So I go to change the parameters, and I have here the parameters. And you see that here, to rename or to change the domain or work group of this computer, I go to modify this part. And here in there, it's where the domain is defined, and I'm going to switch to the work group. And I'm going to set it back to something I like to call work group. Saying for this, OK. And it tells you that after having removed the PC from the domain, you will need the local admin password to open a session. So make sure you have that password somewhere. So I say OK. Now it tells me welcome in the group work group. So with this, the work was done. To apply the modifications, we need to restart the machine. So let's do it. We restart now. Just log in. To see what happened with the client, we are going to see the client's properties. For this, I need to go into the computer itself, and here I will ask the properties. So as we can see here, we have client 8.1, and we can see that it's no more part of the domain which was formation.local. It's now part of a work group. We want also to be able to check whether it's still in communication with the rest of the devices on the network. So we ping 81. And as you can see, it's still available and it's still possible to ping 81. So that device is connected, but now it's no more part of the domain. A last check we'll do, it's to go to the domain controller itself. So I'm going to start with the DNS manager, and I'm going to refresh what was on in here. And we see that client 8 is always part of the domain. And we will refresh. And we see that we still have the lease for client 8 and even defined as client8.formation.local. Now the last point that we are going to check, it's within Active Directory. So we are going to refresh this also. And you see that the computer is still part of it. So it means that when you are removing from a domain a computer, there are still elements to be done if you want to properly remove it. This means that it has to be done by hand, meaning that now I will perform a right click, and from there you can see that I can delete it. It's asking me, are you sure you really want to delete this computer? And I'm going to say yes here at this point. And now I can see that it was really removed from the computer container within Active Directory. DHCP-wise, is it still in there? Yes. It could be that this computer anyway will continue to function on the network, so why not to leave its IP address. You see now that since we removed it from Active Directory, it has also been removed from the DNS. By removing from Active Directory, it also removes it from the DNS. You must just allow time to the system to perform the cleanup. So far so good. I think that with that we were able to remove a computer from the domain. So far so good. So have a good time and see you soon. Bye.